what are your blind spots, especially when it comes to your career? What are you blind to that you're not seeing, and you're wondering what's really stopping me from either growing in your career to the next evolution of your career to what you want, or maybe you are exploring a different career, more purposeful, and you are stuck in a vicious cycle, not understanding what's going on. So if this is your case, this video is going to be helpful. I'm going to talk about the two main type of blind spot that I see over and over again with my clients and stopping them from doing the amazing, fulfilling career they want, or to growing to the next level of the leadership in their careers. Hi, I'm Isabelle Perichou. I'm a leadership and purposeful career coach. I work mainly with leaders or mid-level professionals who are wanting to reach the next level in their leadership, or want to have a career that has meaning and purpose. And often they get stuck about how to get about it, what it is, what are the steps to get there. So let me talk about the two main types of blind spot I see over and over again with my clients. Now I've worked, for 10 years in my business with hundreds of leaders and professionals, and I see recurring themes over time. And in particular, I see two main type of blind spot that you should really work on. This blind spot, this is going to make a huge difference in terms of your career aspirations. So the first one, often, let's start with the first one. Often people wonder, when you think about blind spot, and noticing right now as you are hearing me, what are you thinking about when I say the word blind spot? What's coming to mind to you right now? There is good chances that the type of blind spot coming to you as I'm speaking are more the type of, like behaviors that may be stopping you, or that sabotaging some kind of your work, or maybe at your work relationships or something like that, that you are not seeing. And you are wondering, when we ask for feedback in the corporate world, often we hear like this kind of constructive feedback about what I can do better, and maybe what you are not seeing. So there are good chances that you may be thinking about this type of blind spots, because they are the one that we associate the most with the word blind spot. However, I'm going to talk about this one, but before I go there, I want to talk to you about another one that is less talked about, but is essential in terms of growing into the best version of your career, and especially doing work that has true meaning and purpose for you, or reaching the next level of that that expression of your purpose. And this is the blind spot around your own brilliance. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about your strengths, what you are the best at, what you do the best, your own brilliance. And most people are blind to their own brilliance for all kinds of reasons that we're going to talk about. But I want you first to take that in. And often I remember mentors of mine saying, the thing that you take, your strengths are the thing that you take the most for granted. And a reason of that, because what are your biggest, the biggest your strengths are, the more natural they are for you to operate from. When you are what people call your zone of genius, like Guy Hendricks, an author, talk about your zone of genius, where you are like so good that because you are so good at it, it's easy for you. So from inside of your system, it's easy like a fish in the water. So it's often one of the reasons, among others, that you don't notice, because inside of your system, it's like so easy. And we have this belief, especially in the Western world, that things are supposed to be hard, that to grow in your career, you are supposed to work hard at it. If it's too easy, if it's easy, there's a problem with it. And so we discount, most of the time, we discount our biggest strengths. And we grew up like that in a family, in a society, at school. We can grow up like that, depending on the conditioning you operate from, depending on your country, your culture. your background. So of course there are variation, but I see that I have, a lot of clients from a lot of different countries, and I often see that in different ways or different variations. So let me give you an example of clients to illustrate this point for you. And then after that, we'll talk to the second type of blind spot. So I had a client, and it's one of many because most of my clients, they struggle with that. And it's one of the things I really help them with. And one of my clients, a few years ago, a Frenchman, came to me because he was quite successful in his career. He had working in a lot of large international companies in the world in different countries, including in the US. And he had kind of follow a bit the corporate ladder in some ways. So on paper, if you would look at his resume or LinkedIn profile, you was like, wow, And however, he was on the brink of burnout. And when we discussed together, and as we started exploring and doing my process about helping people, we uncover their natural brilliance, not the brilliance society told you should have, but what is already inside of you naturally, because we all have that inside. And slowly, as I was going through all the different layers and steps and different tools that I use to slowly, one step at a time, just uncover that innate brilliance inside of him, inside of you. And we started realizing that actually is one of his biggest strengths was someone who was very pragmatic. He had a kind of what I call like a more pragmatic type of intelligence, practical type of intelligence that is in the moment, that is not the type of intelligence we teach you at school. At least I want to clarify, at least in French schools, because I know in different countries there are different ways, but in French school there is a big emphasis on more abstract type of intelligence, more analytical, more than concrete, which is different, for example, than the US and North America. So I want to bring this caveat, but depending on which, you all receive a conditioning from different cultures. So it was trained in France. There is this idea that to be successful, you have to be very, in terms of abstraction, and very good in everything that is analytical, and including math and things like that. And then you go in school, what we say in French, when you do les grandes écoles, they are, just very prestigious schools. When you get there, it's kind of the heights of achievement, and you have that in different aspect. And for him, he went kind of that route because there was a system in France that telling you to be successful and intelligent, this is the way to go. And also because there was something going on with his, to be accepted and loved by his parents and his family of origin. Often there is that going on. There is a unconscious desire to be loved and accepted by your parents. And if our parents have this conditioning, they're going to put us on us. So there is this double conditioning happening for him. And so as a result, he ended up doing what's supposed to be successful, and all this kind of going into this type of abstract intelligence and working for large, you work for large international companies around the world. I mean, this is considered, if you say that in France, it's like, wow, you made it, kind of thing. And actually, this is kind of nearly the opposite of what is innate brilliance is. Because as we discover his innate brilliance with the tools, we realize his intelligence is more very pragmatic, very like a go-getter, than solving problem in the moment and having the freedom to solve the problem that comes in the moment, and having a lot of independence in his work. So working for a large organization with a lot of structure and rigidity, often for people like him, it's not good, except if they have a lot of freedom. So there are people like that who need a lot of freedom, and they are very practical and very effective, and often in environment where you have way more freedom. So sometimes small organizations, startups, or even starting their own businesses, for example, and very pragmatic type of intelligence, and but very effective, like a more, like I would say, entrepreneurial type of intelligence, if you know what I mean. And so we discovered that for him, this is what he had, which is kind of new a little bit, but the pressure was so big that he needed the process we did together and a guide to actually show him, no, your intuition is right. This is the way you are wired, and this is where you're gonna shine. And as a result, he's still on his path, but on the result, he started looking for different type of jobs that were more in alignment with that for him. So this is the main, the first type of blind spot that I see in people, and the way and as I said, because of all the conditioning we receive, because often we are not sometimes reflecting back into our innate strengths, especially when our innate strengths are not the ones from our family value in our family circles, or valued in a society, value in your culture. When we go a little bit against that, it's where often we don't have a reflection of that. So it's harder for you to see that, embrace it, and claim it, and find work aligned with that, or the next evolution of your career aligned with that. So, and it's why how we do about it, I have a process, like a kind of a 360 process to get at the core of your brilliance, with a lot of different tools we use in combination and in triangulation to help you get this kind of, inner compass for what I call your inner compass for the rest of your life. That the core of your brilliance that won't change, and that will help you navigate your career and your life at the same time for the rest of your life. So this is the first type of blind spot. So first of all, take a moment and notice, of course, it's a blind spot, you may not be able to see it, but is something in what I'm saying like ringing a bell for you or resonated? Is there something like, and maybe it's the conditioning you receive, where do you value your type of intelligence, or do you receive some conditioning, or maybe you make choices in your careers that were more, not intentional. You followed, make choices what came to you, and this kind of thing. I see that a lot with my clients. So now let's talk about the second type of blind spot that I see a lot as well. And this one is a bit more to what the definition you may potentially have in mind about this. Sometimes we have this repeating, self-defeating patterns of behaviors that we don't see or not aware of, that other can see but you cannot see, that often are in the way of being fully fulfilled in your career growth, your leadership as well, especially when you are in leadership positions in organization. So again, I'm going to illustrate that with the example of a client I'm currently working with. And I've been working with her for quite a while. I think 4 or 5 years in different increments. So first, when I worked with her in the past, I help her really clarify a zone of genius, like the first blind spot. We clarify that, and then she came back later on because she works in accounting, and she had a lot of experience in it, and she wanted to step up in terms of leadership and be promoted. And she came back to me because she noticed that she felt like there was something in the way for her in really achieving that goal, but she couldn't really pinpoint what it was. She had a few ideas of things, but she couldn't really pinpoint exactly what was in the way, and also how to get about it, to solve it. And so what we did, I used two different tools in this context that are extremely powerful. The first one is the Enneagram personality typing system, and the second one is shadow work, and I'm going to explain to you how they work, because you may not be aware of them or understand what they do. So the first one, the Enneagram, and you may have heard about it, there are 9 personality types or personality styles. And what is extremely powerful about this system and different from other personality typing systems, first of all, it's not to put you in a box. So if you're worried about that, this is not what it is for. It's actually to free you from the box you are already in, meaning when you lead, each Enneagram type or style has their own self-defeating pattern that's stopping them from reaching their full potential in their career and in their life. And it's quite consistent. It's amazing from people from the same type. Of course, there are all kind of nuances and variation, but it's very accurate. So when you clarify, identify your main Enneagram type, often you're gonna understand why there are stuff you get stuck, self-defeating pattern you have, because everybody from the same type has the same core challenges. So it's very, first of all, when you discover that, it's extremely validating and also give you self-compassion, because you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not the only one. And this is because of that. And so in her case, we did this with her, and we find out that she was specific Enneagram type. In particular, I can tell you, but it's not really, we don't have to remember the type and everything like that. But there is a type on the Enneagram. In her case, it was a type 9 that have the particular challenges they have is often around visibility. So being visible and taking ownership for taking the credit for what they did, owning their voice. Also asserting their self, like asserting their own opinions. Also being comfortable being with conflict, or when there is some people who don't agree with what you think, or when it's time to stand up for yourself. So there's a type that tend to be really challenged in that area. Of course, all of us can be challenged in that, but for all the type 9, this is recurring. This is always there is this kind of things to work on, and often they can be blind spots because people, when they may not realize that, because when you are with the Enneagram, you're operating in your unconscious pattern. So they really want harmony, to create harmony, and they may not realize, and there is a fear of, oh, if I stand up for myself, it's going to disturb the harmony, and this is the end. But this is often unconscious drive. So often they are blind spots. So with her, we did, we clarify that, and it helped her clarify so clearly what are the main blind spots for her in the way of getting a promotion and getting to a next level of leadership. And in particular, there is, standing up for herself, the visibility, claiming her own, taking credit for what she does well. She's brilliant, she's brilliant, but because, she's not necessarily always claiming, she doesn't want to take too much light on her. Sometimes people are acknowledging somebody else than her because she's actually not fully taking ownership and claiming where she's good at. And also in terms of promotion, that can be an issue, and standing up for yourself when, she's very smart, when something you see things differently than even your manager may see the thing. You have to have the strength of standing up for yourself in a, of course, in a kind of diplomatic way. And so we identify that for her, that was in the way. And then we use the second tool I told you about. We do the shadow work. So the shadow work is helping everybody. So has part of us that we don't have access to. They are what we call disowned. They are, so in her case, there was like standing up for herself, like her own anger, her own visibility were part of herself that were disowned. Like what we call in the shadow, meaning they are not, you have a hard time accessing them. And this is often the case for type 9 on the Enneagram. They have a hard time accessing these parts. And every type on the Enneagram has different aspect of their personality that is actually disowned in the shadow. And I have a process that's extremely powerful to reclaim these parts. It's a very gentle process to help you reclaim this part of yourself. So they come back to the table with the other part of yourself so you can access them, which means for her, after we did that, and we are continuing doing that, it's easier for her to stand up for herself. Like in meeting, when there is something she doesn't agree with, or she thinks we should do differently, to speak up, or to ask if she wants, to claim her own gift verbally in a group, or with a manager as well, to be able to say when there is something that she's being overlooked, to speak up for herself. And as we are doing more and more of these sessions to help her reclaim this part, it's becoming easier and easier for her to do that. And as a result, to step more into the true leadership that she already have in her, but to fully claim that in her careers and finally getting the promotion that she truly desires. So yeah, as I'm sharing that, I want to see for you what's coming up. And what I want to say, when you do the both, you may have, what do you think you are the most blind to? And you may not know that, but what resonating more? By the way, when we do the two, with my client, when we do the two in combination, this is powerful. When we help you transform your blind spot around your brilliance, and then after that, so you feel confident, you feel good about yourself, and then after that, we do the work on transforming your blind spot around your self-defeating behaviors. The two combined together, you just gonna shine and do the work you are here to do in the world in big ways, or whatever ways that you are meant to do. It doesn't have to be big, by the way, but way that feels really meaningful to you. So yeah, let me know. I would love to hear what are the blind spots that you may think you have, what are questions you have or insights. And if you want to help with your blind spot, because if they are blind spots, you may not be able to see them by definitions, and want to help to identify them and how to transform them, I have a special gift for you. It's a free audit of your career blind spot. So it's a 25-minute session, complimentary session, where we're gonna look free audit of your career blind spots. It's a call where you will clarify your vision for your next career or next stage of your career fulfillment. You'll uncover what are the type of blind spots stopping you the most, and then identify what are powerful action you can take to transform this blind spot. So if you're interested, comment blind spot in the comment below, and I'll reach out to you with the next step to schedule our 25-minute call. So I look forward to hearing from you. I would love also to hear if you have any insights and questions, and wishing you the best on your journey to expressing your true brilliance in the world in a way that feels true and meaningful to you.